Welcome to Police News TV. I'm your host, Paul Ballmer. On today's broadcast, sadly, another bloody week of police officer deaths. A Southern sheriff arrested and held in his own jail. An arrested man goes into a jail with a 10-inch loaded revolver on him. Inside him. Minnesota officer needs assistance after tragic injury. LAPD to enforce the adult entertainment industry to wear condoms. All that and more right here on Police News TV, your source for national law enforcement news by cops for cops. This is Police News TV for Tuesday, January 24th, 2012.
Hello, I'm your co-host Jill Adrian with a breaking news story out of Washington, D.C. The U.S. Supreme Court said unanimously Monday that placing a GPS tracking device on a vehicle is considered a search under the Constitution. The ruling came in a Washington drug dealer investigation. A U.S. appeals court in the nation's capital said that data obtained by the GPS device was obtained without a warrant, as required by the Fourth Amendment, and suppressed it. Writing for the majority, Justice Scalia said the government's attachment of the GPS device to the vehicle and its use of that device to monitor the vehicle's movements constitutes a search under the Fourth Amendment.
Now for today's top stories, Honolulu police officer dead in H1 freeway crash. The Honolulu Police Department confirmed that HPD officer Garrett Davis died on January 21st at about 8 p.m. as a result of a vehicle crash on Hawaii's H1 freeway. Officer Garrett Davis had stopped to help a disabled motorist in the far left lane of the freeway. He was on duty and had his emergency lights on during the stop. Then another vehicle came along and rear-ended Davis's marked patrol vehicle, causing it to burst into flames. Davis was still pinned inside and died from the fatal injuries he sustained. Two civilians were also injured in the crash. The 41-year-old driver of the truck that hit Davis was injured but was arrested on suspicion of negligent homicide. This is the second HPD officer killed on this freeway in 6 months. Honolulu police officer Garrett Davis is a 3-year veteran of HPD and was 28 years old. He is survived by a young daughter and a mother in Folsom, California area. He was also the 10th officer this year who passed away while performing his duty.
Chicago PD's Southwest Side Police District Commander dies. Chicago, Illinois. The Chicago Police Department commander serving on the city's southwest side died of a heart attack while off duty Saturday night, according to a release from the department. Commander John Kupczyk was a 28-year veteran and was recently in charge of the large Chicago Lawn District, which is one of the toughest districts in the city. It's 24 square miles in size and has 250,000 people in it. Published reports stated that he enjoyed the respect of those who worked under him, as well as a reputation as a policeman's policeman. Even the Fraternal Order of Police spokesman Pat Camden said he was an outstanding commander. He was 54 years old.
Arkansas prison guard killed checking on an inmate. Bricky's, Arkansas. On January 20th, Sergeant Barbara Esther was stabbed to death by an inmate at the East Arkansas Regional Unit. She was investigating whether an inmate had an unauthorized pair of shoes. The inmate stabbed Sergeant Esther in the side, abdomen, and chest. She was rushed to an area hospital where she was pronounced dead later that day. The inmate, Latavius Johnson, was serving a life sentence for first-degree murder of his father. Johnson had several disciplinary infractions, including one this week for not obeying orders, but hadn't previously attacked a guard. Sergeant Esther had served with the Arkansas Department of Corrections for 12 years. She was 47 years old and is survived by her husband, who also serves as an officer at the same facility. Sergeant Esther is the second Arkansas Department of Correction prison guard to be killed by an inmate. The previous incident occurred in 1995 at a different facility. Sergeant Esther was the 9th officer to die in the line of duty this year.
Puerto Rico police officer fatally shot. A Puerto Rico police officer was shot and killed on January 18th after responding to a robbery in progress at a gas station. According to authorities, Officer Francis Crespo Mandry, 55, was wounded after two suspects opened fire at a service station. One of the suspects was wounded by police and was taken into custody. The other remains at large. Governor Louis Fortuno declared 3 days of mourning to honor the 24-year police veteran. He is survived by his wife, 2 children, and by 4 brothers, 2 of whom serve with the same agency. This marks the second officer killed in the line of duty for Puerto Rico so far this year. On New Year's Day, Sergeant Barrocales Abimel Castro was fatally shot during a traffic stop. So far, this is the 7th law enforcement officer death in 2012.
Calcasieu Parish, Louisiana Sheriff's deputy killed in a motor vehicle accident. Carlos, Louisiana, Deputy Sheriff Randall Benoit was killed in an on-duty automobile accident at approximately 8 a.m. on January 18th. His patrol car was struck head-on by another vehicle, causing fatal injuries. Deputy Benoit had served with the Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office for 18 years and was assigned to the Civil Division. Calcasieu Parish Sheriff Tony Mancuso remembers Benoit as a man who made people laugh, who had a cheerful personality and could brighten up any room. He said Deputy Benoit had the ability to lighten the moment and make you smile and forget about the tragedy or the bad things that were going on. Benoit was 41 years old and was the 8th law enforcement officer death in 2012.
Sketch released of man wanted in murder of Macomb County, Michigan corrections officer, Madison Heights, Michigan. Police released a sketch today of a man sought in the fatal shooting of a Macomb County Correctional Facility worker on January 14th. Police said the sketch was based on an eyewitness account. The witness also reported the shooter may have fled from the area in a gray minivan. Clarence Tariq Hammond III, 33, who left work around 10 p.m. Friday, was gunned down in the parking lot of his home around midnight. Police searched his phone and computers for clues to a motive, while family members remembered Hammond as a respectful, caring man and fantastic father, whose 2 young boys were the joy of his life.
Alleged deputy shooter faces a new charge. Dashcam footage of shooting. Comstock Township, Michigan. More charges are possible against one of the suspects accused in the shooting of a Kalamazoo County deputy during a routine traffic stop on January 6th. As the deputies approached the truck, someone inside began shooting at the officers, striking one in the arm. The deputies returned fire. One injured deputy was shot in the arm and was treated at a hospital and released with full recovery expected. The hunt for the 3 suspects continued after the shooting and resulted in 2 separate police pursuits. Eventually, all 3 were captured without any further shots being fired. William Wright may face an extra charge of being a felon in possession of a firearm, a 5-year felony. He was earlier charged with 9 felonies, including assault with intent to murder, felony firearm, concealed weapon in a vehicle, breaking and entering, arson, unlawful driving away of a vehicle, fleeing and eluding, and 2 counts of resisting and obstructing. His bond was set at $1 million. His brother, Christopher Wright, was charged with resisting and obstructing officers, a 2-year felony. The third person involved, Jessica Carpenter, posted bond and is currently out of jail. She's charged with being an accessory after the fact. Now, the Kalamazoo County Sheriff Department has identified a 4th person with whom they would like to speak. His name, Dominic Devon Castle, who is shown here.
Police officer rescued from icy Mississippi River, St. Louis, Missouri. A St. Louis police officer had to be rescued from the Mississippi River after his squad car slid into the icy water near the Gateway Arch on Friday evening. According to police, the officer was responding to a call of a driver who was asleep in his van when it began sliding down the cobblestone to the waterline. The van stopped after getting hung up on some driftwood. The officer arrived on scene and also slid down the cobblestone, stopping with the squad car partially in the water. The St. Louis Fire Department responded to the scene, and fire crews were able to rescue both driver and officer from the river by throwing a rope down to the victims. Both were unharmed.
Widow of slain sheriff's deputy gives birth to a baby girl. Reading, Pennsylvania. It's a girl. The wife of slain Berks County deputy sheriff has had her baby. Alicia Paggerly has delivered their daughter, Savannah Kylie Paggerly. Alicia's husband, Kyle Paggerly, 28, was killed in the line of duty on June 29, 2011. They found out she was pregnant with their first child before he died. Kyle was killed by 25-year-old Matthew Connor in what some have called a suicide by cop. Deputies were trying to arrest Connor at his home on a burglary charge. Connor slipped out the back of the house and law enforcement officers followed. Connor had an AK-47 and pointed it at the deputies. When he didn't drop the gun as ordered, the deputies shot. Both Connor and Paggerly were fatally wounded.
Orlando, Florida officers cleared in controversial shooting. Orlando, Florida. 2 Orlando police officers have been cleared of any wrongdoing in a highly criticized officer-involved shooting. After a lengthy internal investigation, it was announced that officers Tim Kuzma and Randall Pennington acted appropriately when they believed the driver of the van failed to heed orders to stop. Orlando Police Chief Paul Rooney said, "The officers perceived the threat was real." The incident happened in the parking lot of Target in 2010 as the officers were attempting to apprehend a suspected credit card thief. 5 rounds were fired into a van driven by the unarmed suspect, Rogelio Cortez. Cortez was shot twice but survived. 2 passengers were also injured. Cortez was arrested on charges including attempted murder of a law enforcement officer, but those were later dropped.
Man sneaks loaded 10-inch revolver hidden in rectum into jail. Onslow County, North Carolina. Now, there are some places you just shouldn't hide a gun. Police in North Carolina believe that despite multiple searches after a traffic violation, a suspect managed to sneak a 10-inch gun into a prison last Monday by concealing the weapon in his rectum. One day later, officers confiscated the .38 revolver from a jail cell of Michael Leon Ward, arrested January 9th. This, according to a statement from the Onslow County Sheriff's Office. They would perform a strip search on Ward and even required that he squat and cough to see if he had any contraband, but nothing turned up. He was initially arrested because police allegedly found drugs and related paraphernalia during the traffic stop. Jailhouse guards discovered the handgun in the toilet after other inmates reported Ward. Now there's a criminal, I guess you could say, was a real pain in the ass.
Gang members busted after bragging about shootings on Twitter. New York, New York. January 19th, authorities announced the arrest of 43 gang members involved in several fatal shootings in Brooklyn after a number of suspects boasted about their crimes on Twitter. Officials say the suspects were part of 2 feuding gangs who terrorized Brownsville in an array of attacks that left innocent bystanders killed or wounded over the course of several months. According to the indictments unsealed Thursday, members of the Wave Gang and Hood Stars face charges including murder, conspiracy, assault, criminal possession of a weapon, and attempted robbery.
Former Clayton County Sheriff remains behind bars. A grand jury in Clayton County, Georgia, handed down a 37-count criminal indictment against Hill on January 18th. Hill immediately turned himself in and was arrested. His political rival, Sheriff Kem Kimbrough, launched the investigation that helped to put Hill behind bars. The indictment was handed down just 6 months before Hill intended to run for sheriff again. The former sheriff will now stand trial for charges ranging from violating his oath of office to theft by taking. The most serious charge is racketeering. Hill refused to comment following the indictment. His last words before being arrested were, "I'm still running for sheriff."
Pretend teen doctor busted for impersonating a Florida cop. Osceola County, Florida. Prosecutors fear the teenager caught pretending to be a local physician assistant and a Miami cop is a danger to the community. That phrase is from January 29th's motion revoking 18-year-old Matthew Scheidt's bond after Osceola County detectives confirmed that some of his police gear might have been stolen. The Osceola County Sheriff's Department issued a warrant for his arrest after it said Scheidt stole a non-functioning radio from the agency, then used it as a tool to impersonate a police officer. Miami Beach police arrested Scheidt after he pulled up next to a plainclothed officer in an unmarked white Crown Vic and told the officer to buckle his seatbelt. Police said they found a loaded gun and a taser, a badge, ID, a police radio in Scheidt's car. Osceola County detectives determined the police radio and the ID were from the Osceola County.
Hacker group Anonymous hits FBI, Washington, D.C. MegaUpload.com, a file-sharing website, was shut down as part of an alleged 175 million copyright infringement conspiracy, triggering an online protest that disrupted websites of the U.S. Justice Department and movie and music trade groups. Charges against 7 individuals, Mega Upload Limited and Vestor Limited, were unsealed January 18th in federal court in Alexandria, Virginia, after 4 of the alleged conspirators were arrested in Auckland, New Zealand. 3 suspects remain at large, according to the Justice Department. About an hour after the indictments were unsealed, the public websites of the Justice Department, the Motion Picture Association of America, and the Recording Industry Association of America would not load. According to Twitter accounts used to publicize the group's activities, the hacker activist group known as Anonymous took credit for the disruptions, citing the Mega Upload prosecutions. The sites were disabled by a so-called directed denial of service attack, which floods websites with so much traffic that they temporarily crash without harming network systems or giving attackers access to confidential information.
Suicidal Arizona couple wanted deputies dead. Yuma, Arizona. An Arizona couple who committed suicide last month planned to lure sheriff's deputies to their remote desert home and kill as many as possible before ending their own lives. Yuma County investigators found elaborate plans, both in writing and in video, in a blast-protected area after Jesse Lee and Deirdre Firestone's home in Dome Valley exploded December 23rd while surrounded by officers. They had planned to blow up the house as a SWAT team entered. The couple's bodies were found in the home 2 days after the explosion. One deputy suffered minor injuries when the blast knocked him down. Captain Bratcher of the Yuma County Sheriff said, "The motive behind their plans is not known, but it was clear they fully intended to murder as many deputies as possible prior to taking their own lives," he continued. "These people absolutely had a plan, and I think they wanted to die and make as big of a scene as they could possibly make."
Los Angeles police asked to enforce porn film condom rule. Los Angeles, California. Actors in adult movies filmed in America's pornography capital would be required to use condoms under an ordinance granted final approval January 17th by the Los Angeles City Council. The measure was adopted 9-1 and is on its way to the mayor for his signature. Before it can take effect, however, the City Council has ordered police officials, the city attorney, and others to hold meetings in order to figure out how this most unusual ordinance will be enforced. The council's second and final vote to approve the law was taken without public discussion on a day when it just so happened that most of the porn industry's major players were in Las Vegas preparing for the opening of the Adult Entertainment Expo, their industry's largest trade event. Several industry officials condemned the move as being unneeded and an exercise in political correctness that cannot be enforced. In any event, some unlucky or lucky, depending upon how you see it, LAPD officers are in for an interesting assignment.
Federal official in Arizona to plead the Fifth and not answer questions on Fast and Furious. Washington, D.C. The chief of the criminal division of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Arizona is refusing to testify before Congress regarding Operation Fast and Furious, the federal gun-running scandal that sent U.S. weapons to Mexico. Patrick J. Cunningham informed the House Oversight Committee late Thursday, through his attorney, that he will use his Fifth Amendment protection. Cunningham was ordered Wednesday to appear before the U.S. House Oversight Committee regarding his role in the operation that sent more than 2,000 guns to the Sinaloa cartel. Guns from the failed operation were found at the murder scene of border agent Brian Terry.
In our new product segment, Burnsville police give body cams a tryout. A Burnsville police officer makes a traffic stop and spots a small amount of marijuana and drug paraphernalia on the center console of a vehicle. The driver gets 2 citations, and everything is recorded by the officer's Axon body camera. The next day, the driver calls Police Chief Bob Hawkins to complain that the officer was rude and unprofessional and had no valid reason to stop the car, much less search it. When the driver is told that the video tells a different story, he abruptly hangs up Hello? Hello? Done. The chief recalled earlier this week, almost 18 months after about 1/3 of the department's 75 sworn officers began wearing the body cams. The Axon body cam cost about $2,000 apiece as opposed to the $7,000 for the in-dash car cameras. Video from the body cams is unloaded and stored off-site at evidence.com. That lets only authorized users, such as officers or prosecutors, pull up a video on their computer. Please visit their website, taser.com, for more information, or go to the PoliceNewsTV website, this episode's show notes for direct internet links to this product and the stories from this show.
In our police sports segment, 2012 North American Police Ski and Snowboard Championships, February 25th to March 3rd, 2012 in Cooper Mountain, Colorado, just 75 miles west of Denver. This event is for active and retired police officers and their guests from all across the globe. Police ski teams representing the United States, Canada, Europe, New Zealand, and other countries come together for a week of skiing competition, including slalom, giant slalom, supergiant slalom, as well as races for guests. Throughout the week of competition, the racers and their families gather nightly for award ceremonies, camaraderie, and fundraising to benefit the Special Olympics. The event is run by volunteers, active and retired police officers. Please visit their website, napsc.org, for more information, or go to the PoliceNewsTV website and this episode's show notes for direct internet links to the stories from this show.
Savage, New Mexico. Our Officer Needs Assistance segment features a worthy cause for law enforcement. A benefit fund has been established to help cover expenses as a Savage police officer recovers from injuries he sustained in a crash on January 2nd. Officer Frank Mackel, 39, remains in the hospital in serious condition. Officer Mackel was on duty at 1 a.m. and sustained injuries when his vehicle left the roadway and struck a tree. Officer Mackel became a member of Savage PD in 2008. He's also a member of FOP Lodge Number 14 in Minnesota. He's married and has 3 children. Donations can be mailed to Klein Bank Savage, attention Jill Ryan, care of Frank Mackel Benefit Fund, 14141 Glendale Road, Savage, Minnesota, 55378. Or a website has been set up so you can buy a charity t-shirt to support the worthy fundraising effort to assist one of our own. It's HornetCountySpiritWear.com, or go to the FOP website, mnfop14.org, for more details. Or you can go to the Police News TV website and this episode's show notes for direct internet links to this story from this show. Please help this brother out.
In our police history segment for the week, January 18, 1990, D.C. Mayor Marion Barry was arrested in a drug enforcement sting. January 19, 1989, President Reagan pardons George Steinbrenner for making illegal contributions to former President Nixon's campaign fund. January 20, 1778, the first American military court-martial trial begins in Cambridge, Mass. January 21, 1994, Lorena Bobbitt found temporarily insane of chopping off spouse's penis. January 22, 1998, Gambino crime family acting boss John Gotti Jr. and 22 other associates were indicted on federal racketeering charges. January 23, 1975, the Barney Miller TV show made its debut on ABC TV.
In the calendar segment, Invictus Law Dog Police K-9 Conference, February 20th through 23rd, 2012, Las Vegas, Nevada. This is a premier police K-9 conference and exhibition for police K-9 handlers. Each year, hundreds of handlers, trainers, associations, and companies that serve the police and government K-9 specialty meet in Las Vegas for nearly 3 days of learning, networking, and fun. While there are excellent working dog seminars, this conference was designed to deliver the maximum amount of information possible to attendees while they meet the industry leaders and see the latest gear. The conference takes place each February and draws the biggest names in the industry. Handlers can pick from a wide variety of classes to attend on topics relevant to their field. Please visit their website, lawdogexpo.com, for more. Or go to Police News TV and this episode's show notes for direct internet links to this story from this show.
In the training calendar, Public Information Officer, PIO, 4-day boot camps February 13th to the 16th, 2012, Norman, Oklahoma, which is in the Oklahoma City area. Mr. Ryan is an internationally recognized expert in media relations. He is well-rounded and has a diverse background in law enforcement, radio, and television, giving Mr. Ryan tremendous insight into communications with the news media. Chris Ryan is a highly regarded news analyst and commentator. He's been featured on ABC World News, Fox News Channel's O'Reilly Factor with Bill O'Reilly, Court TV with Nancy Grace, Inside Edition, and MSNBC News. The PIO Boot Camp is a 4-day intensive training experience designed to take attendees through the treacherous territory of news media communications. Attendees learn the fundamentals of media relations and its important role in communicating with the public and news media. Mr. Ryan's unique teaching style enables them to retain more information through candid class discussions, eye-opening videos, role-playing exercises, and more. Go to his website, piobootcamp.com, to find out more about this seminar, or go to the Police News TV website and this episode's show notes for direct internet links to the stories from this show.
In police officer job openings, Kansas City, Kansas is hiring for new police officers through February 15th. Kansas City has a population of 145,000, covering 127 square miles. To apply, you must be at least 21 years of age, have a minimum of a high school diploma or GED. The entry-level salary is $40,417 annually. Now for some dumb criminals. New Mexico thieves make getaway in shopping carts. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Our next resident geniuses didn't really think it through when they used a shopping cart as a getaway vehicle after burglarizing a home in northeast Albuquerque. Officers said 2 men broke into a home on Canyon Vista on Tuesday using a baseball bat to break a window and then, according to Albuquerque Police Department, Sergeant Rob Gibbs loaded up the shopping carts and took off down Moon Street. A neighbor saw the men carting off expensive items and called police. After hearing a police helicopter overhead, the men noticed they were being followed and started to run. And according to Sergeant Gibbs, a foot chase ensued. Police caught up with the burglars and found a grocery cart on its side with stolen items spilling out. The men were charged with burglary and conspiracy, and officers said they were able to return the stolen items to the owner. Of course, that'll be the card I end up getting next time I go to the grocery store. Always end up with the one with the bum wheel.
Woman offers sex for McNuggets, Burbank, California. Hand over your chicken nuggets and I'll have sex with you. That's exactly what customers were offered when they drove near the drive-thru of McDonald's in Burbank, California on January 11th. No, it wasn't a new marketing tool. It was Khadijah Basir, a local panhandler well known to police, looking to make a deal. It seems that Ms. Basir was opening customers' car doors and hoping to find a customer willing to exchange sex for McNuggets. One man called police after Basir propositioned him, and police promptly arrested Basir for suspected prostitution. And in case you're wondering, the man did not leave with a Happy Meal, just his nuggets. We here at Police News TV would like to thank you for watching.
And you can watch or listen to our daily news broadcast on your large HD TV, your laptop, your tablet computer, smartphone, or MP3 player. Your Police News TV, anytime, anywhere. Because here at Police News TV, we've got you covered.
Also, you can like us on Facebook, watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Twitter. We have many other ways to watch and listen to this broadcast, so go to our website, PoliceNewsTV.com, to find out how. If you wish to give us feedback or submit a news story, you can email us at contact@PoliceNewsTV.com or call us at 727-437-2207. We value your input.
This show is dedicated to Calcasieu Parish Deputy Sheriff Randall Benoit,
Puerto Rico PD Officer Francis Crespo Mandry,
Arkansas Department of Corrections Sergeant Barbara Esther,
Chicago PD Commander John Kupsik,
Honolulu PD Officer Garrett Davis. Please, let's keep them and their families in our thoughts and prayers. And that does it for this episode. To all my brothers and sisters in blue out there, stay safe, See you next time on Police News TV, where we've got you covered.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. And hey! Let's be careful out there.